Vegas.
Yeah, right there, right there.
You should cover that A so it looks like an O.
Maybe it's a O in a different syntax that doesn't have an O on the keyboard. You have to reuse the A. I don't know. Maybe there needs to be more characters in the English alphabet.
Yeah.
We're live. Anybody use the dual language keyboards yet?
I have, and on Android, and it's pretty smart. I like it.
It's crazy how good it is. I was shocked.
Instead of it trying to translate and say like "Cómo se dice en inglés," instead of it typing it in poor English, it actually knows.
It can tell. And the fun thing is when you get the auto suggest that's like, you might be going this way, so here's the Korean, but you might be going that way, so here's the English. And I'm like, wow, you really do know. That's amazing.
I wonder if native speakers are like, I can tell.
Apparently, the bilingual Korean English speakers love it. They're like, it's really good and so needed. Because you're not just switching between languages, you're switching between alphabets.
That seems like a mind trip.
Yeah.
All right, the next time I'm on the show, I will set up the whole microphone setup. Well, my name isn't Tom Merritt Jr.
It's not.
Okay, I'll do it this time. Next time I will. I got to get this thing set up, so book me ASAP for October.
All right. So tomorrow, joining us,
I got time. No, wait, Thursday's not. Well, tomorrow's Tuesday, so I'm good.
Yeah.
We should talk about my reviews on Tile.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Don't
not
get
shower tile. The location.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, it's warmed over from last year.
But still tracking.
My one-liner is a tile will get you to the haystack, but an AirTag will find the needle.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
AirTag or anything with UWB, because my gosh, like great, it's in a 12-story building. What am I supposed to do?
It's right there in front of you somewhere.
Yeah, unless Tile can make the world 2D, which would be pretty cool for a minute. Like, oh.
Flatland.
It's like the new Tile Flatland, you will find everything. You might not feel so good, but you won't feel lost.
You'll hate running into triangles.
2-minute warning. 2 minutes.
Always trying, never completing.
2 minutes.
Magandang umaga, Raymond.
So just hold the microphone there the whole time.
Yeah.
Hey, you're listening to The Quiet Storm.
Between the sheets.
That's right. Make sure you get Micro Suede on Amazon Prime deal days. Don't do that.
Buy my mattress.
So does anyone just say macro suede?
Not yet. You could invent it.
Everyone talks about micronization, but no one says macronization.
Would that just be regular suede? Or are you talking about like a suede that's
It'd be giant suede.
It's just what would that even mean? It's rougher?
What's micro suede?
It would just be huge suede polyps.
Swaths.
Huge swades of
Swaths
of
suede.
Swades of suede.
Swades of swaths is very... Wait, swads? No. Swad's not a word. Yes.
Not yet.
Yes, I'll pretend like I'm always pondering like this, and my microphone will sound good.
Or you can take some tape and just like...
You and the
Duct tape fixes everything.
Always keep a roll in your car trunk.
30 seconds.
If it was in my car trunk, that would be located somewhere else, which would be a real problem. From the sloppy apple.
I was about to write the big
Have
manzana.
a good show, everybody.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
I say, good day, Internet.
Oh, top of the Internet to you, Iyaz Akhtar.
Top of the afternoon from New York to you both.
Hi,
you
Laddie.
Californians.
Thanks for being here, even during a Verizon outage.
I mean, I did what I can for you guys.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, man. We will not be covering the Verizon outage in the main DTNS because by the time most people get this episode, it'll probably be over. That's our outage coverage policy.
If it's not, it'll be
if
covered
it's
tomorrow.
not, we'll cover it tomorrow for being like a really long outage. Exactly. All right. Shall we begin the show?
Yes, we shall.
Thank you for seconding. Here we go. In 3, 2. Daily Tech News Show is made possible by you listening right now. Thank you, Mark Gibson, Reed Fischler, Larry Bailey, and new patron Victor.
Victor.
On this episode of DTNS, Iyaz Akhtar tells us which is better between the iPhone 16 and the Samsung Galaxy S24. Epic files a second antitrust suit against Google, and DirecTV is going to merge with Dish. DirecTV. This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, September 30th, 2024. In Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
From the Big Apple, I'm Iyaz Akhtar.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
We are all out of September. This is all we got. This is the last bit. Enjoy it.
Squeeze
Tomorrow, it's actually October. So Oktoberfest, Halloween, all those things that have already been going on in September, they'll actually be happening in October, starting tomorrow.
Schooltober.
Schooltober.
It's like Oktoberfest hangover.
Yeah, it's where you go after Oktoberfest. Iyaz, thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, it's always great to chat about, well, everything about technology. So this is going to be fun.
That's what we do. Let's start with the quick hits. AMD released firmware updates for its Ryzen 9600X and 9700X desktop processors to improve performance, which some have found disappointing. Windows 11 branch prediction optimizations are included now. You used to have to go out and find them yourself. Now they're just part of the firmware. That should boost performance by 3 to 13%. A BIOS update for the 9600X and 9700X extends the warranty to allow your max power level to go beyond 65 watts all the way up to 105 watts. That should give you another boost of around 10%, or at least up to 10%. There are also some core-to-core latency optimizations for multi-chiplet models. So if you know what I just said, that's good news for you. And new AM5 motherboards with expanded input support. California's governor has vetoed a bill that would have required makers of large AI models to do safety tests and install kill switches to prevent critical harms and some transparency reports and such. Governor said the bill focused too much on a few large models and would give a false sense of security because smaller models wouldn't be covered and smaller models could be capable of causing harm. He also said it applied in areas that posed no risk and said he supports a more targeted approach. In other words, it was covering everything on large models, whether they were risky or not, and nothing on small models, even if they were risky. The bill, however, was supported by a lot of longtime AI researchers. So Jeffrey Hinton, Yoshua Bengio, a lot of smaller companies like Anthropic supported the bill. It was opposed and heavily lobbied against by major players like Google, Meta, and OpenAI.
I didn't read the bill, but nothing says you can't just come up with another modifying piece of legislature, focused on the smaller models. So that's just off the top of my head of like, something might be afoot.
That's exactly what Governor is doing. He is working with people from Stanford and elsewise to create a new bill that he will propose. Sony and Raspberry Pi have announced the Raspberry Pi AI camera module for $70. Module includes an onboard image algorithm processing for people developing AI using Raspberry's RP2040 microcontroller with Sony's IMX500 image sensor, and that's the one that does the image processing. That means that you don't need a separate chip like a GPU to process image AI stuff.
That's right. So you can even have AI in your Raspberry Pi, and then it'll go bye-bye.
Yeah, maybe. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, who is good at knowing things, says that Apple is planning to launch a new OS called Home OS, which would be based on tvOS, along with smart displays sometime next year. Gurman says there are 2 smart display models being developed, a basic screen more like what you get from Amazon these days, with FaceTime and smart home controls, and a high-end version you might have heard rumored before, even from Gurman, that would have a robotic arm that could track your face and move to face you, if you're walking around during a FaceTime call or something. The cheaper one, the one that doesn't have the robotic arm, is expected to arrive next year, according to Gurman, with the robotic one possibly not arriving until 2026.
I got a lot to say about these smart displays in general and how Apple's going to take it on, but that's for a much longer, in-depth show, because that's pretty much, that wraps it up for me.
Iyaz hates them. I love them. There you go. That's the short version. Somehow Vivo managed to beat Google and Samsung to the release of Android 15. Pixel devices haven't even gotten it yet. That was kind of a big deal that they announced the Pixel devices without it coming with Android 15, and they're not supposed to get it for another couple of weeks yet. But the Vivo X100 series, the Vivo X Fold Pro, and the Ichu 12 all reportedly have been receiving Android 15 updates over the air. Android 15 arrives on Vivo along with its own FunTouch OS 15, which is their custom skin for Android.
I'm supposed to be recommending phones, and the Pixel phones are supposed to be the first one to get Android 15, and this screws up everything. And before I write an angry email letter to you saying that I don't hate smart displays, I just think they're underpowered.
They're fine. They're perfectly powered. Epic has filed an antitrust lawsuit in the Northern District of California against Google and Samsung, accusing the companies of conspiring against third-party app stores. Collusion is what they're after. The new suit is about Samsung's auto blocker feature, which prevents users from installing apps from unauthorized sources. Google and Samsung's own app stores are authorized sources. So if you install anything from the Google Play Store or the Samsung Store, you don't have any problem. If you try to install Fortnite from Epic's store, however, it'll tell you, this is from an unauthorized source, and it won't tell you anything else. It won't tell you, click here to, authorize this store or anything. You can turn auto blocker off. You can even turn it off individually for certain stores, but you have to do it in settings. There's no prompt from the warning pop-up on how to do it. It's anywhere from 4 to 12 taps, depending on who you ask. But Iyaz, what do you think, first of all, of this practice that has become kind of typical of saying, ooh, that's from a third-party source. Unless you know what we're doing, we're not going to let you install it.
I mean, we've been seeing this for a very long time. Apple's had the Apple App Store on its phones, not allowing third-party app stores for the longest time. And
they don't even give you the option. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They just say, like, this is what we're doing with our device. We're going to keep it closed. And then that became like the norm. We have, to the point we even have a Windows Store, which I still think is ridiculous considering you can put programs on any computer. So I think that the feature, the auto blocker feature, has been used by so many different manufacturers already under the guise of security. Because if you think about it, these authorized app stores, they can actually go in and kick things off of there if there's anything found out. If I'm running my own third-party store, I could stock it with all kinds of malware-based software, and how would you know? I could always change the name and that kind of thing over and over again. So I think Epic's going to run into a little bit of issues with this because it is so common practice, but it's definitely going to get people talking for the most part, because I think if you're an Android user, you might know already how to sideload. If you're an iOS user, you might be like, we have the option to do what now?
Yeah. And to be clear, this is only about Android, this particular lawsuit. If people don't know, Epic won the first lawsuit against Google. They lost the one against Apple except for one provision. They won the one against Google. So Google has to allow Epic to offer its third-party app store. It can't block it. What Samsung's doing is tantamount to blocking it, saying, that's an unauthorized source, and then shutting up and not saying you can't install it, but saying, if you know how to go into settings and install it, then you can go do that, but we're not going to make it easy on you. I don't know if that qualifies as antitrust, because they are technically allowing the third-party app store and the third-party apps to be installed on the Samsung and the Google devices. They are just saying, we haven't authorized this. Where Epic is going to try to argue antitrust is, they don't have a way for us to get authorized, right? They're not providing a path to say, well, hey, we're Epic, we're respectable, we have policies to make sure that, no malware is going to come through our store. How do we get on the authorized list? There's no way to do that. And so what they're going to say is the reason there's no way to do it is because Samsung and Google are colluding. They don't have evidence of collusion, but they hope to find it during discovery.
I mean, if there were provisions that had exclusive items, so let's say that the Samsung App Store, the Galaxy Store was the exclusive third-party Android App Store available for everywhere, I think that'd be kind of a easier bet for an antitrust situation. Like you were saying, Tom, you can still install stuff. You just kind of need to know how to do it. And just because something's difficult doesn't mean it's impossible.
Yeah.
I've seen articles that say that like, oh, it's not as easy to just turn off. Apple did the same thing with Gatekeeper. It's a real pain in the neck to authorize third-party apps. So, like, if this goes
on
through
Mac, not on iOS, but on Mac.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you for that. On Mac, because it is so annoying when that comes up. And if you don't know, go to system settings and check in Gatekeeper and the redesigned system settings. It's a pain in the neck. But I mean, it could be up to Epic to educate the consumer. Then it'll be like, hey, look, here's our app store, and here's how you do it.
Here's how you do it. Yeah. I don't know if you can convince a judge that having to educate the consumer is enough of a hurdle. You'll be able to convince them it's a hurdle, but is it enough of a hurdle to be antitrust? I also don't think during discovery they're going to find an email from Mr. Samsung that says, let's keep Epic off our platforms by putting in the auto blocker feature. But maybe you'll find something that implies like this should reduce competition if we do this, and that they knowingly knew that was a side effect. I think I'm less optimistic than I was even about the first lawsuit. I didn't think Epic was going to win the previous one though, because Android is so much more open, but they did. So I guess anything's possible, right?
Yeah, we'll have to see what actually comes out in discovery, because if for some reason, Tom, you find out Mr. Samsung or whoever was at the top of Samsung who's not in jail,
right?
If they find out, oh, we wrote this down and they said, please delete this email, and we have this cluster F of paper trail, I don't think we're going to have that. We're going to see, hey, look, we don't want to be handling calls and customer support from people who don't know what went wrong with their phone. So let's ban all third-party things unless the user knows what they're doing.
Let's move on to another story that's big today. DirecTV has reached an agreement to acquire EchoStar's TV business. EchoStar owns Dish. So they're going to get Dish TV and Sling TV, which is interesting because DirecTV has its own version of Sling TV called DirecTV Now, which you can get over the internet. You don't have to install a dish or anything. So it'll be interesting to see if they keep Sling TV and DirecTV separated or merge them together. DirecTV is really just taking on the debt. They're paying $1 and then assuming Dish is $9.75 billion in debt. This solves EchoStar's debt problem and allows them to concentrate on phone service. EchoStar wants to be the fourth major wireless mobile competitor in the US. This takes the debt off the books and lets them focus on that. It gives more subscribers to DirecTV. They'll have a combined 19 million subscribers after this merger. As part of the deal, private equity company TPG is buying out AT&T's stake in DirecTV. Even though AT&T spun DirecTV out, they still own 70% of it. After this is all done, TPG will own the entire combined company. The transaction is expected to close in the second half of the next year. You could look at this, Iyaz, and say, oh, this is just the dying of linear cable TV, right? Even though these are satellite companies, it's going to all be over the internet now. But they have, two of the existing internet television services. I don't know if you've ever used or do use either one of these. I actually use the DirecTV streaming service because it's the only way to get the Dodgers in Los Angeles without going through cable.
I have yet to use DirecTV or Sling, Orange, Blue, and all the other color ones. It's kind of sad to see that these things are going away, because back in the bad old days, if you wanted competition for your cable and you couldn't get another physical cable, you could get a dish or a DirecTV dish. It's a little sad, but I'm curious if, like you were saying, are they going streamline things by combining their online offerings, or will they keep them separate so they can have two brands? Maybe one becomes a premium brand and one becomes less premium, because which name is worth it? Do people know Sling or do they know DirecTV? What's going to be the bigger draw? We've seen that kind of stuff with Max when they and Warner Discovery and Max when they merged. We had this kind of messy kind of situation where they kept both services for a time. So if anything, DirecTV, take a lesson from that. Make sure that you offer, when you are out there offering a new plan, it's not some kind of half broken service that's not going to work for anybody, because you need to have your customers. There's more competition than ever right now. So make something that works.
Yeah. It's interesting on that side too, because DirecTV's service is probably one of the most comprehensive. If you want a channel and don't want to pay cable, DirecTV's online service is the way to go. Sling, on the other hand, is the cheap one. If you're like, I just need ESPN, Sling TV is probably the cheapest way to just get ESPN right now, barring Disney eventually launching an ESPN-only service.
Yeah, so that makes me think about how soon before we'll see DirecTV is running into issues with Warner Brothers Discovery or Walt Disney Company.
Well, they already have, right? Yeah,
they'll pull their stuff
DirecTV
further.
just finished a dispute with Disney where they didn't have ESPN at the beginning of the NFL season.
Maybe they'll direct their Disney contacts to Sling where they're okay. It's like, yes, we've acquired a bunch of people that you like now, Disney. So
yeah.
Shut up.
They did solve it before this went in, and like we said, this isn't going to close until the second half of next year, so you're not going to see any changes before that. It also might cause EchoStar to be able to focus on wireless and become a genuine 5G mobile phone competitor. So keep an eye out for the Genesis brand. That's EchoStar's wireless telephone brand. It's going to make a run for T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T. Well, folks, what do you want to hear us talk about on the show? One way to let us know is in our subreddit. Submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. New flagship phones from Samsung and Apple were released this year. Of course, back in January, we got the S24 line. Apple just announced the iPhone 16 at the beginning of this month. Most notable changes to these phones are the cameras, as always. But there's also some AI integration, at least there is on the Galaxy. It's coming to the iPhone 16. Iyaz just did a PC Mag story seeing how these phones stack up based on what we know so far. These are two of the most powerful phone lines around. You could throw Pixel in there as well. Huawei and Honor are kind of close. But these are the two flagship phones most people think of when they think of Android and iPhone. What did you find comparing them?
Okay, so when you're comparing the iPhone 16 to the flagship of Samsung, you're basically going to get a powerful device that can do pretty much anything you want, because these are the two top lines, and Pixel's there too. But like these, let's be serious, the S line and the iPhone, they're pretty much on par with each other. What Samsung got going for it when it comes to its cameras, they have been kind of playing catch up in certain respects, in that oversaturated colors. In the past, in the 24 and 23 versions of the S series, they've actually toned that down to the point that the 24 is showing much more natural colors. So it's a better representation of life, but a little bit tweaked. It's a little bit oversaturated, a tiny bit, so your memories can look better than your actual memory. So there's that. Then you've got Apple. Their photography is excellent. So the thing is, the hardware level of cameras, we're kind of at this point where you can get this hardware. Like when we talk about that Sony sensor on a Raspberry Pi, anybody can run these sensors on any device. It's really all about the processing. And Samsung has aligned with Google, and they're really touting Galaxy AI with Google features. And we've been seeing that all year. And it's worked pretty well in my experience when it comes to photography, notes, summaries, just basically anything they said it could do, it's doing it. Meanwhile, we've got Apple talking up Apple Intelligence for the past several months, and it's still not out yet. We have yet to see what it can do, and if its features can even really come close to what Google can do, or even what Samsung can do with its AI, especially for photography.
And also for things you want to do, right? There's the looks great in a demo AI features, and then there's the I actually use that in daily life. And there are plenty of people using the beta that have been taking advantage of Apple Intelligence, the developer betas out there, but it's not been widespread. So I don't think we have a good sense of that, of like, what are the things that Apple Intelligence will be useful for? S24 has had the Gemini powered stuff out for a while now. Do you have a sense of what are the things people tend to use most?
Okay, so Gemini is Google's AI thing. And then Samsung uses Google's Gemini if you install Gemini, or you can use Google Assistant. So that's kind of a mess. And if you're wondering which one is which, go to pcmag.com. We've got everything spelled out right there because, as you can tell, it's getting real messy. I've lost sight of your question, Tom.
What are the things on Samsung that people actually use AI wise?
Yeah, so there are, like I was saying, with the organization of your notes, Samsung Notes is way more powerful than it used to be, in that if you scribble your notes, Samsung can actually, with its AI, summarize your notes for you. You can actually create an outline of it with either it'll turn it to text, or it'll actually change your handwritten notes into an outline form for you. It's really quite interesting what can be done with just your sloppy handwriting.
And the S24 has a stylus too, right? So you're actually able to do handwriting pretty easy.
The S24 Ultra does, and it's the only one that does. And I think the stylus thing is going to become a really big deal because of the Samsung feature sketch to image. Basically, you can draw anything you want on your phone, and AI will try to interpret what you have drawn. Like basically, in all my demos, I try to draw a cat, and I can't draw a cat, but then it could either make a photorealistic version or it could make a pop art version. And there's something about just trying to do it with your finger. It's clumsy. It's very clumsy to try to draw with that. It just doesn't work. If this finally brings stylus compatibility or pencil compatibility to iPhone, that would make sense, because, but if I'm going to step back a little, what a phone can do versus what a phone is going to be used for. Like Apple's Pro line right now is so incredibly powerful that they're pushing it as like a movie making machine. Who is doing that and why? Versus Samsung, they are doing a creator focused situation where the features are more for people who are just running around with their phones, not necessarily shooting the next Citizen Kane.
Yeah. Well, and my sense is Apple is overshooting to impress the same people that Samsung is addressing directly, right? They're trying to say, hey, YouTube creator, hey, TikTok creator, we could do a full movie here. Imagine what you can do for your channels. Whereas Samsung's like, let's show you directly. And I'm not sure that it's wrong to do what Apple's doing, but those are two different approaches, right?
Yeah, I mean, Samsung's... all those Apple events where you see shot on iPhone, and then you see the behind the scenes and you see all the stuff added to the device. I mean, Samsung is trying to show you that if you just take their phone and run around, in theory, you can get something good. That's that run and guns kind of style versus locking down your production. That's two different approaches. So they are definitely the Pro line versus the Ultra line. They're diverging a bit.
Now, I know that your comparison is Apple versus Samsung, but you're covering phones. How does the new Pixel 9 stuff slot into here based on what we know so far from it?
Well, since Google powers a lot of the stuff we've seen in Galaxy AI, so there's a lot of parity in their features there. You've got Magic Eraser, which is also on Google Photos on iOS. The Pixel's real draw right now with its AI features is Gemini. And Gemini Live. Gemini Live is this feature where you can just have an ongoing conversation with an assistant, and it retains quite a memory. So an example I actually did was I was trying to find a background TV show to have on while I was writing. And it would suggest, I go, I like these TV shows. It suggested more shows. I go, I've seen all those. And it keeps trying to come up with new ones, and you can keep tweaking that. Those Gemini features where you are actually having a conversation that is ongoing and there's a memory, that I've seen is very impressive, but that's a pay feature. You have to pay for that. If you get if you get a Pixel 9, if you get a Pro, you get 1 year of a subscription for that. Later on, you have to pay. I think Gemini could be great eventually with the Pixel, but one of the biggest problems right now is that some of the conversations can be siloed, such that if I'm talking about a television show at 3:00, and then I talk to it at 5:00, and I want to talk about those same shows, it might not remember unless I go into the Gemini app, choose that conversation, and then pick up. And let me just say one more thing about this Gemini thing that's going to blow everybody's mind. there's no search function in that app. So if you can't remember where you talked about this thing, good luck. Just search.
You can't just ask it, where did I talk about this thing?
Nope, you can't search it.
I mean, you can, but
you can't
won't
type
do
it.
Yeah.
You would just have to like go per conversation and just read the transcript until you find it.
Gotcha. So, all right. Pulling back to the brass tacks here. Everybody's going to say which one's better, but of course we both know that the answer depends on who you are. Based on what you've been doing here, who's the iPhone 16 for and who's the S24 for?
Okay, iPhone 16. So depends on also, we're talking about worldwide, we're talking about US. In the US at this point, there's enough peer pressure. Who's the iPhone 16 for? For anybody who doesn't have an iPhone or is being peer pressured into having an iPhone. I know RCS is on iPhone, but still, that's going to be the big one. But for its feature set, it's the iPhone 16 Pro, the small one. That one might be the best iPhone out there. It's meant for people who want to be able to pretty much do anything on their phone. Just short of like a laptop experience, short of an iPad, you can just run as many apps as you want. You can just do anything. That's what the iPhone 16 is and the 16 Pro is for. Great pictures, incredible app support. You know the developers are going to make apps that can really run on this A18 Pro. Please check that if I'm wrong on that one. On the system on a chip that's in the Apple iPhone 16s, the Pros that is. These things are monsters, and you won't need to upgrade anytime soon. If you get a 16 or if you had a 15, there's no reason to jump yet until like maybe 2 or 3 years later, because these Apple devices have gotten so powerful. There's no reason to update year to year. And as for the Samsung stuff, who is it for? If you're in the Android world and you want a good ecosystem that you know will be around, because you got Google and you got Pixel, and that's great. But sometimes its ecosystem falls apart due to the fact that Google will kill products or try to integrate them with others. And all of a sudden, you don't have things that work together. Samsung has worked really hard to make sure that all smart things work together. And they've been around a long time, and they keep fostering these products, even if they don't make a lot of sense. Bixby's not dead yet. So like they keep things going. Could you imagine if Google had Bixby, how fast that would have been dead? So Samsung is for the person who wants a safe Android, and iPhone is for the person who just needs an iPhone. It's about ecosystem is what you're saying, which one you want to be in. Ecosystem and what you bought into. If you bought apps on one or the other, just stick to your line.
It's fine to stick with what you got. There's no big price advantage to one over the other. No,
they both start at $799 if I'm talking about the Apple iPhone and the Samsung S24 line. It's really hard to get a bad deal on these things at this point. The Samsung device has been around for almost 10 months now, so you're going to get a good deal. So even they're going to be a much better deal pretty soon.
And Lee points out that Gemini Live just last week, or maybe a few days before last week, maybe 10 days ago, is now free if you're an Android user. So,
well, get out of here.
Yeah, look at that.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Lee. And thank you, Iyaz, for that. Before we get out of here, let's check out the mailbag. Dan wrote in regarding our suggestion last week to use random answers for those security questions. The ones that are like, what street did you grow up on? I would like to fish this out of you later and then get into your account. I suggested just use random answers. Don't answer with actual words. Dan says, additional suggestion, use a random actual word, but not a string of weird letters and numbers like another password. I've encountered some systems where the recovery is also automated, but it doesn't permit the use of extra characters and confuses it and makes it unusable. Alternatively, I've seen a few situations where it was handled by a human, and when they ask you, what was the name of your best friend in grade school, and you reply back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, it can confuse and frustrate them. The complexity of putting Unicode or emoji characters in those fields would make the recovery in this case challenging and humorous at the same time. That's funny, Dan. I actually ran into that with a bank once where they said, what's the street you grew up in? And I was like, Z4X, and they just kind of snickered like, oh, well, that is correct. That is what you had in there. So, you might want to make it so that it's easy to bandy about, or just ignore them and live without them. On Friday's show, Sarah read a mailbag message from Kenny, who said, "I thought I misheard," and went to the show notes to confirm that Sarah said, "Don't forget on the Ray-Ban mini glasses, there's a little screen on the inside left lens that shows you notifications," when she was reading the email from Kenny. Our emailer Keith says, "Is this accurate? Do you have more details on what's being referenced? I'm not familiar with the product named Ray-Ban Mini or any type of screen on the Ray-Ban Meta glasses." I apologize for the error, Keith. There's a notification light. That's all I can find on the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. There is no such thing as the Ray-Ban Mini glasses. You're not going crazy. So thanks for asking, though, and apologies and correction. There is no screen, no little screen that's visible in the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Sorry for the confusion. All right. Thank you, Iyaz Akhtar, for joining us today. If people want to find your full breakdown and anything else you've got going on, where should they go?
Go to PCMag.com. We got the new reviews of the iPhone 16, the 16 Pro, the 16 Pro Max. They're all done. The S24 line is done. The foldables are there. If you want to compare anything, we've got it over at PCMag.com. If you got any questions, let me know in the comments on PCMag.com. You can even hit me on X. I'm still at Iyaz there. I only check that maybe once a month, but I'll answer your questions if you got them.
Feel free, folks. Also, if you're a patron, stick around for the extended show Good Day Internet. I'm going to explain how I can use my T-Mobile phone number on both my iPhone and Pixel Fold at the same time. And then Iyaz is going to tell me why I shouldn't be too excited about that. Stick around for that. We're also going to play a round of AI or Not. Can we stump Iyaz and the live audience? Stick around. You can catch the show live Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 2000 UTC. Find out more about that at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. Back tomorrow. See you then.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
And Nick with a C is correct. The show itself was not AI. This was done by humans today.
Or so you say. Everything I said was from ChatGPT today. No,
you were just typing furiously, like, yeah.
It would be much clearer, man.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That was good stuff.
It's like what is it? The saying, falling off a log. It's like
it's like falling off a bicycle. They say onto a log.
Yeah, I was gonna do the mixed metaphor, but I was gonna just gotta tee it up.
Okay, so I got real excited over the weekend when I discovered Digits for T-Mobile, DIGITS. There is a version of this for Verizon, which, by the way, apparently since I gave the disclaimer of why we're not covering the Verizon outage at the top of the show, apparently it's back already, like during DTNS it came back. But there's something called Verizon Messages that does this for messages, and for calls and messages, there's AT&T Number Sync. T-Mobile has Digits. I'm sure there's ones for other carriers out there as well across the world. But the idea is you say, I authorize you to send my calls and my messages over the internet to the Digits app, in this case for T-Mobile. And then you can install the Digits app on another phone. You can access it on the web, and then you can get your calls and your messages that way. I have been looking for a way when I carry my Pixel Fold to not have to use my Apple Watch to handle all my text messages. And I was like, oh, this looks fun. I will install it. I installed it on my Pixel Fold. It installed immediately. I immediately saw a bunch of my messages carried over to the phone. So I'm like, oh, look at that. I've got a call history. I've got a message history. It looks like everything is going well. And then I asked Iyaz in the pre-show, have you ever used T-Mobile Digits? And what did you say, Iyaz?
I said, oh, yeah, and it's a mess. You don't want your messages going through it. Now, it's been a while since I've used T-Mobile Digits because of my experience. And I would think that the last time I used Digits maybe it was this year. And everything you're saying is right. But the issues I had with T-Mobile Digits, as your phone number and your messages are on these multiple devices, the issue is that the text messages you receive to your original T-Mobile number, they, as far as I know, will not show up in the Messages app on your phone. So unless you have Digits installed on your phone and then you use the Digits app to look at its messages, you will not get text notifications through the Messages app, thereby screwing up a lot of notification parameters if you've done that kind of thing.
So wait, so let's say, okay, so in my case, the T-Mobile number is the iPhone. And I have Google Fi on the Pixel. I have digits on the Pixel. If I get a message and I look at it on the Pixel first, I'm fine. But if I look at it on the iPhone first, it won't show up on the Pixel.
It might not even show up on the iPhone, is what I'm saying. Like, it might not show up in Messages in that app. It'll show up in the Digits app on the iPhone.
On the iPhone?
Yeah, so like it's basically taking all the messages. This is from my experience. Now, maybe it's different now.
I think they fixed that.
Okay.
Because when I installed Digits on my iPhone, it would not let me add my phone number that is on the iPhone to the Digits app on iPhone.
Interesting.
Because it's basically like, you already got those things here. We're not taking those over.
I was hoping that this was the solution because when I was testing phones, I didn't want to keep popping my SIM in and out of things. I wanted to get my messages wherever.
Exactly, right?
But these messages were getting lost between Android messages, Google messages, iOS messages, Digits. They were not populating everywhere, and that caused me great concern. So maybe
they were always populating somewhere. They weren't just like disappearing, or where sometimes you're like, that message just never arrived.
Oh no, they definitely arrived. The question is where. Where is it?
They just might not always arrive in the same place. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
Because of that, if there's something important and you're trying to figure out what's going on, and you're like, oh, I didn't see it, and they're like, how could you not see this text message? It's like, well, it's because of this Digits thing, and then that becomes a whole conversation. So, in my experience, for I guess my main number, I probably wouldn't use it. For a secondary, I think it'd be great, like a Google Voice number or something. Although you don't need that if you have a Google Voice number, but that kind of thing. But as primary, I had issue.
Yeah. Okay. I have hope that the fact that it wouldn't let me use the Digits app on iPhone for the phone number that is attached to the iPhone means that it'll avoid that problem. Because I can't get the messages in the Digits app on iPhone. It's like, no, that phone number is already on this phone. I'm hoping that adding it to the Pixel Fold doesn't cause further difficulties, but we'll see. Because it's the same thing. Like I carry the Pixel Fold, and because I have an eSIM on the iPhone, I'm like, I'm not going through that. You can do it, but I'll just use my watch. But that is also, even though I have LTE on the watch, you know, sometimes you get a longish text message and you're like, yeah, I can't really respond to that properly on a watch. So you want a phone. And if all I have is the Pixel Fold, then I just have to wait and respond to that one later.
Yeah. So that you're having the problem that I run into frequently too. You're a cross-platform guy. I've got an Android phone. I've got a Mac. And if I want messages, I've got to go to messages.web.whatever Google's thing is on my laptop.
Yeah.
And it's not really synced up properly. Not exactly synced up. It's like there's the workarounds to make these individual silos work with each other. It's such a pain in the neck. Like back when you had I remember there was a third-party app you had to use for Fitbit to talk to Google Fit before Google bought it. It's like, why? Why does this have to happen? So, it's just this is the reality of the situation, that for whatever reason, getting your messages or having cross-platform compatibility can be a real pain. So I don't recommend it for mission critical stuff. Yeah.
No, let me try it. Don't any of you try it yet. And I'll report back, see if it's any better. Hockey Sticks is asked, does this make text-to-FA more insecure? I don't think it makes it more insecure. Text second factor authentication is insecure because of SIM swapping, specifically. Somebody can convince a carrier to direct your messages to them. I don't think Digits makes it easier for them to get your messages, because you have to be able to log in to your T-Mobile account and verify with your original number that you are who you are before you can set up Digits. So I would have to SIM swap you anyway to get that confirmation number in the first place. So I don't think Digits is likely to be an additional attack vector of any significance. However, if somebody gets your T-Mobile ID, they don't have to SIM swap you no, they still would have to SIM swap you. So if they get your T-Mobile ID, they're a little closer, but I think they'd still have to SIM swap you to make that
Yeah,
work.
and if you're logged in on multiple devices, and let's say you sold a device and it was already logged into digits, that could be a point, but that would also mean make sure that you're always wiping your devices.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
getting rid of them.
And
But that-
deauthorize and all
yeah,
of that.
that
You're
would
right.
be one of the things that it could create a tiny problem, but that's because literally it has the number. So I'm sure you've said this a million times. I don't think using a phone number for 2FA is a way to go. Don't
Nope.
ever use that. If you don't have to use it, don't use it. Use an authenticator app or something similar, because the alternative is not as secure as it should be.
Indeed. So yeah, digits, or anybody who uses number sync and you've got thoughts about that, let us know. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. We also just switched our email provider for dailytechnewsshow.com. So if you've ever emailed us and got bounced for some reason, that shouldn't happen anymore. I think we finally fixed that. I want to try playing, having a little more fun technology segments on GDI. Iyaz, are you willing to play along with me?
Sure.
All right. You don't sound that excited.
Well, it's just kind of funny. It's like, let's have fun. We have Iyaz on. So, I mean, it's a combination.
Oh, well. No. We got Roger, too.
I'm the third wheel,
Yeah.
so don't feel bad.
And the chat room. I really want folks in the YouTube and the Twitch chat to play along as well. All right. I want to get everybody's guesses. The game is called AI or Not. I have assembled about 8 or so, I can't remember exactly, images, some of which were created by a human, some of which were created by an algorithm. And you need to help identify whether the one I'm showing you is human or AI. That's it. It's very simple. Human or AI. I'm going to show you the first image now. Was this created by a human or an AI? And describe it. What do you think it is, too?
Okay, so I'm seeing a low light photo of what looks like a piano with 1, 2, 3, 4 candles on it.
I see 4 lights.
There's 4. There's a little booth behind them.
Yeah.
I would say human with a phone camera or camera.
Human with a phone camera. Okay.
Because I've taken photos that are very much like that at CES.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
can
can't
I ask
tell
if
if this
these
is supposed to be CES.
Can I ask if these photos have been like zoomed in or what? Are these like the
You could ask,
originals?
but I won't tell you. No.
Okay, because the thing is, like, if this is zoomed into a part of something, like, why is this?
Oh,
it's
I
just a
see what you're
crappy-
asking. For the human photos in this, no alteration has been made.
Okay,
These are as they were created.
okay,
Now,
because it's
maybe the human creator zoomed in or something beforehand, but for the purposes of this exercise we're doing here, I did not alter them.
so this is not a slight on the person who took the photo. If it was a person, the photo looks like it was hastily taken and probably wouldn't be used on the camera roll too much. But I'm thinking they want to take a picture of the people behind them. Although that spiky hair looks like Schwood, so I'm gonna say this is real. Because
It does look like spiky hair. You're right.
that
I
hair
haven't
looks.
noticed that before.
This.
But that's
Go ahead.
that's not a clue that's based in AI versus not. I believe that to be Schwood back there, and that it looks this. I'm gonna say human.
All right.
So-
We have lots of folks saying human. Honda Insight saying AI, though. Lion Jim Video says the reflection looks symmetric, maybe too symmetric, maybe?
I don't think it looks symmetric because the second candle on the left away from has a smaller flame or light comparatively.
Yeah.
Also, it's really bad composition for a
Yeah,
camera. So I chalk it up to someone who
AI
took a-
wouldn't have this bad a composition, is what
I
you're
mean,
saying.
this is something.
It's too
again,
human.
It's too human. It's like making a sloppy Joe and
Yeah.
forgetting, all the other stuff.
This is, in fact, a human taken photo by me circa 2008, maybe 9, something like that. Yeah. And I can't tell you anything about it. I'm pretty sure I was taking a picture of the candles and the people sitting behind were just ancillary. That very well might be Brian Brushwood, though. You may be right about that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking 2008. That does vibe with the state of low light photography. It's just gritty, gritty.
Yeah. All right, next one. This is describe what you're seeing and then make your best guess of whether you think this is human made or AI.
Human made typewriter, old time, early 20th century, QWERTY keyboard, QWERTY. The letters look like they're
You're
supposed
checking
to.
the letters. Yeah.
The letters look the way they're supposed to, and generally AI has trouble with letters.
Yeah, so I'm also looking at the letters. The thing I looked at first was the Royal logo in the middle of the it's the middle of the picture.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about typewriters at this point, but I believe Royal's a real company, and unless somebody came up with a logo that AI could actually reproduce, which again, like Roger's saying, they're not AI images typically have issues with letters and logos.
It could do 1 or 2 letters, but 26 is that's you know what I mean?
I mean, they're pretty fuzzy, but yeah, they don't look wrong.
There's also what appears to be like a 1980s jazz glass back there with or cup with that purple and teal color that we all know.
Again, bad composition.
Yeah, that detail is too specific. Unless somebody wrote this in a prompt, I think that looks like that's a human had something behind it. And to the left looks like some kind of phone, and based on the overexposure on the left, I'm thinking this is a human has done this photo because, and it's on a table. So it looks like somebody was at a table, wanted to take a picture of this. The light looks right. Yeah, and the light's not one source.
The light's terrible. The lighting is terrible. That's how I know a human did it, because there was literally no care given.
And there's some wear on what appears to be, I think, the return button on the bottom right. So that
good.
Yeah.
That to me is so. Yeah,
also, there's some dirt on the table.
Yeah. No, table is definitely dirty. I don't think that's a glass behind it though. I can't tell what that is. The blue thing.
Oh yeah.
That's one of those cups. You know, the disposable cups you used to get in the lunchroom or
paper
room?
cup. Yeah, no, you're right. Okay. Interesting. Why would I have had that? Because this is human.
This was also taken by you.
This was taken by me again, very long time ago on an iPhone, and I don't remember why I was taking.
It has
a
a very
Tom
Tom aesthetic to the photography.
Yeah, the bad composition is my signature. Exactly.
I'm gonna say iPhone 3GS or 4 on this one.
Definitely one of the two. I could look up the metadata, but I have it. I'd have to go find it. But yeah, pretty old. All right. Next one. Human or AI, and describe what you see.
Looks like something to be a WordPress W.
It's a serifed W for sure. Yeah.
Loading. I would say this is a photo taken of a screen that was loading something, because essentially what the picture shows is a loading screen with a big circular emblem in the middle with W in the middle of that. There's a loading bar. The problem is the text is too clean, and having done a bunch of AI text recently.
Nick with a C suggests maybe it's the Waterstones website. Stealth Dave says could be a real screenshot. This could be built-in HTML, CSS. Most people are guessing AI though. Royal Hoser thinks it's human.
I'm leaning toward human.
Iyaz, what are you thinking?
Okay, I'm thinking there's something at the door, but so I'm going to tell you what I think, and then run to the door. Okay. So I am seeing what looks like a circular W. Sorry, the circular logo. There's a W. The loading part looks to me like it's been enhanced, but it looks like an AI upscale to me. That's what it looks like to me. And with this, the field itself.
Yeah, so it might be real, but AI retouched it.
Yeah. And the field of beige around it is so splotchy. I'm going to say this is an upscaled AI image. Okay. And I'm going to get the door, so I'll be right back.
All right.
But it's not sharp enough to be, having tried to process a few old photos through AI.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it would be sharper?
There would be almost an artificial, not beveling, but like an edge.
A lot of folks are saying they think it looks like a thermostat, like a bad attempt at an image of a thermostat
with a loading screen, like the whole image.
Like maybe it's the screenshot of the thermostat's control software or something. I don't know.
Like it looks like software, like someone took a picture of a screen.
Yeah. It definitely has that vibe, whether it's AI or not. Well, do we wait for Iyaz to come back before we reveal? Last guests.
I'm leaning toward screenshot by a human. Like someone.
You're leaning towards screenshot by a human, okay? And this is our first split with Roger saying human and Iyaz thinking AI. The answer is AI.
I
asked ChatGPT to make a screenshot of an app that began with W. And it gave me just the W.
That's good. It did a really good job with even the kerning on the loading screen looks pretty legit.
Yeah, it's a little off. If you look close, you're like, it's a little weird.
The ing is a little too close together.
Yeah.
And the L is a little fatter than the rest, but that's
it's
in
not
real
bad.
life too.
It's not bad.
L's are fat.
All right, let's go with this next one. Describe what you see, Roger, and then tell me.
I see a street
AI or
in some Asian city, but it seems all wrong because the traffic light that is shown is something you would see typically in East Asia, but the telephone poles are something that are more resembling what you would have in North America. Also, the far distant telephone pole, there's way too many wires. There's way too many wires because typically when transmission lines are on the top and then any kind of communication ones are carried on the bottom. I'm going to say, I don't know. It's just like the lights look incorrect for what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Zoe doesn't think the white lines are worn enough. The signs make no sense.
Yeah.
Not everything that's human made is from my collection, J. Rom, who says the framing's too good to be Tom's.
Oh, I see it.
And also the line for the white line is way too straight for an actual road. I say.
By the way,
AI.
Iyaz, you were correct. The W was AI generated. So
I say this
right.
is AI generated.
I'm going to agree with Roger. It's AI generated because it's in a square, and the AI stuff makes square images.
Generally,
I had to run downstairs 4 flights and come back up. So sorry.
No worries.
Hey, got your exercise.
The good news is you're correct. Running up 4 flights, sitting down, and spotting the AI immediately. Well done. All right, let's go to the next one. AI or human-made?
Whoa. Okay, so I'm seeing a xenomorph that appears to be made out of car parts. Its left thigh it looks like it's made out of spark plugs.
Lots of spark plugs.
Yeah, which is very specific. So I'm going to say real. Wait, hang on. No. I'm not going to say real yet. But I'm leaning towards that. I'm trying to look at the background to see if there's more.
Chat's saying human, although the reverb might come in saying,
I think this is real. I think this is actual sculpture. Because the definitions on the details are consistent all the way through. Like the lines, like the little cords or fuel lines that the person used. Also, all the spark plugs look like actual spark plugs. Like
Instead
they don't
of
look
like turning into fingers halfway down.
Yeah.
I
like
mean,
they all were.
It's not a xenomorph. It seems like it's a hybrid.
It is a xenomorph, but it's made from scrap parts because that's a low amount.
And Predator because of the.
But it looks like the
dreads.
Well, there aren't what dreads. No, that's just what they used. I think. I mean, this looks. This looks real. This looks like a photo. Also, I'm basing this on the paintings in the background.
So you're saying human-made, Iyaz?
I'm also saying human-made.
You are both correct. This is a picture of a scrap art piece of art taken somewhere in Las Vegas, if I remember right. at one of those special gift shops.
Would you like some spark plugs from this?
And, props to the chat room for most people identifying the scrap part. Somebody said they thought they saw it in Venice, but it was, and there is a place in Venice. I know what you're talking about, but it was not, this was not taken there. All right. AI or human, describe what you see.
Dun, dun, dun. I am going to say AI.
What are you seeing?
I am seeing basically what looks like to be a patio or deck in the backyard with a bunch of lanterns. What gives it away is the moon looks a little too generated.
The moon is the part that sticks out to you. Interesting.
Yes. Also, all the lights look exactly the same.
Now,
Doesn't
remember,
matter if they're lanterns or they're hung. They all
even
have
though we had some things from my camera roll, not everything is from my camera roll. So this could be somebody's human-made art where they just didn't do the moon well.
But also the lighting doesn't make sense. Like for the cast light.
Somebody's saying this is from the movie Big Fish. Okay, so we
Because
are saying,
also the moon, there's like an intense light from above, which looks like a spotlight, but there's no evidence of that ahead, which indicates either there's a giant lamp over this person, street light over this person.
Do you think it's a photo?
Oh no, I think this is AI generated.
But do you think it's trying to be a photo, or do you think it's artsy?
I think it's trying to be like a book cover, like a magazine, like where they do an image of like.
Yeah, it's a patio scene. Looks to me like something you'd see in a real estate listing, frankly. Iyaz, what do you think?
Yeah, so I will say that the lights definitely look too uniform to be real, but what really got my attention was the deck. The planks of wood are not straight cut, unless it's a DIY thing. So unless somebody's showing off like, hey, look, I built this out of scraps. It's not the best, and I understand that. But based on this look, it doesn't seem to line up. No pun intended. But
this could be a badly made human drawing of a patio, right? It absolutely could be, until you see that shadow of behind the light on the plank that is turning MC Escher like into a step.
Yes.
And that to me is the big giveaway. This is AI. This is AI made.
The moon really was the first thing that
the
really
moon could. I think that's the kind of moon I've seen in artists. Like if an artist just makes it sloppily. So that to me isn't an AI giveaway. It's more like, okay, this is clearly not a photo, but it could just be badly drawn.
It's
until
true.
you see
I understand, but like, I wouldn't have included it just with all the other stuff because it's too much.
Yeah.
Composition wise.
I believe this is the last one. Maybe might have one or two more. I'm not sure. AI or human, describe what you're seeing.
It looks like a clone of Wordle. It's spelled Wurdle. It looks like a loading screen. There's what appears to be Scrabble tiles beneath it. It looks like it's on a piece of paper with a lined piece of paper that's slightly crinkly. It almost looks like somebody had erased part of an O for the U in Wordle. It's so ugly that I think that it could be AI made and somebody put it in their own game. But this is such a trademark disaster. There's no way. I mean, a person could do it. People do stuff like this all the time. So
J-Ron thinks it's my first Photoshop lesson.
Yeah, because we are allowed to. Some of these photos could be done by a person on a canvas or Photoshop or something, right?
Well, the letters on the pieces maintain their aspect, like their aspect ratio, but also their what do you call it?
Perspective.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Depending on the way they're laid. So I would say this was done by a human artist who was trying to make a Wordle clone.
Nick with the C says, we are looking for a graphic designer.
Yeah, it's okay. So, I mean, technically, I'm going to say this is AI made, but it was a human who decided to tweak it because I don't know if those letters would be there. But yeah, Wordle, that looks like somebody erased an O, and loading looks fine. I think can it be both Can it be an?
Well, if it's both, it's AI, right? If it had AI touch it, I'm counting it as AI.
I'm going to say no AI. This is a person did this in Photoshop.
Okay, all right, Roger.
I think this is I think this is done by someone.
The chat room was split. They were very much AI at the beginning until you two started talking, and then they started changing their tune to human. And in fact, this is in fact made by a human. This is an app from 2011, prior to Wurdle, the one we know now.
Wow.
I don't know why it was spelled Wurdle, but it's not an app that was, infringing or surfing on the popularity of Wordle. I don't know why I took a screenshot of it either, but when I was scrolling through my own photos, I was like, oh, that's perfect for this game. So yeah, Wordle
My
with
guess,
you.
and I'm going to guess something completely different. You took a screenshot of this because it was taking so long to load. You actually had the clock on the top left with the top right on your iPhone. You're like, is this going to load? Has it been so long? And then when it froze for 5 minutes and you're like, wait a minute, that original photo was from 5 minutes ago.
I wonder if I took a picture of it because the art is so bad.
Nah, you're not that mean.
That could be the other reason I took a picture of it. All right. Do I have another one? Yes, I do. One last one. This is Human or AI, the finale. Before we wrap up quickly, what are you seeing and what do you think it is?
AI because of the British flag on the top left. What I'm seeing is a person at a Comic-Con style convention in an awesome costume with red spiky hair. The hair looks excellent, but the British flag is the giant.
It's not a British flag.
That the guy's face on the far right that's kind of like not like he got blended through something.
I just don't think it would be exposed that way. It would be more blurry on the top left. But he said quick. That's what I got.
Yeah, Roger, same.
Same. Although the ornate detail is pretty good, but no, that guy in the right.
Yeah. No, it's the background that gives this away. The flag could just be some flag from some game you don't know, right? It's not necessarily a bad UK flag.
It's not that part of it. It's just the way the colors are.
But there's the other parts in the background just scream AI. I thought the foreground guy was pretty good though. Like if I had cropped him out, it might have been a little more deceptive.
Although I would also say the lighting is off unless there's a big light next to him that has no spill on the ground.
Yeah, apparently there's a sun setting right to the left of him.
Also, is he wearing? I guess he's wearing an eye patch, and that's not being cast. His left eye is not being cast.
I don't know. Yeah. Good question. Well, I hope that was fun. Let us know. Send us a note. feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Thank you, Iyaz, for playing along. That was great.
Thank you for having me.
Until tomorrow, everyone. Thanks to the patrons who support us at patreon.com/DTNS and have a good day.
Good day, Internet.
Oh, Fred gave us a raise. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.
You gave us the best day.
Fred.
All right, we are still live so that we can shout out the folks and pick a title. Iyaz, you're free to go whenever. If you want to hang out and pick titles and stuff, that's cool. But if you need
I will hang out since I can rest from that ridiculous
the run downstairs.
Well, they're supposed to come to the door, but they didn't. So thanks.
Well, they came to a door.
Yeah, just the wrong door.
Explicit instructions for the doors. I'll whine about that offline.
All right. Big thanks to everybody subscribing on YouTube. We appreciate your support there. Also, thanks to everybody subscribing on Twitch. Sandayu resubscribed for the 52nd month. PC Miles, he cheered us with bits. Zoe did as well. GPEG84. No wonder he was reminded. Don't forget the subs shout outs, GPEG said. Resubscribed for 47 months at Tier 1. The 56th month of subscription. Thank you so much, GPEG. OJ Piter followed us. Gigantify an emote was used by Lion Jim Video. Scott Stonehouse subscribed with Prime at the end of last week. CPOTS 50 did as well. Thanks, everybody, for supporting us there. Let's go to showbot.tv/DTNS2. The top vote getter from GPEG84 himself. DirecTV gets a new dish. Yeah.
Dish ran away with the something would be.
$1 for your dish from Clinton Woodward.
I'd buy that for $1.
We're all out of September from Stealth Dave. Third party's over. Oh, that's good, JPEG. The party's over.
What Iyaz hates, Tom loves.
Yeah, just laying some teases for a future situation. Thank you, John.
Yeah, we'll do a long talk about why smart screens are not what they're supposed to be.
The short version is like, I like smart speakers, and the screens give me some extra information sometime, and I kind of like that. But
I like the extra information. I don't like that they are almost kneecapped in that they can't do everything yet. Like the Google Pixel tablet's close because it can do everything Android can, but it does have limitations through app developers, which is a whole other mess. Yeah. And if Apple's going to do this, it can't just be an iPad that's got an arm. So like if it's less than the iPad, what is it going to be? So you don't want a big watch, and you don't want a smaller iPad or an iPhone.
I just want the smart speaker to be able to show me stuff sometimes.
I think I get greedy when there's a display. Like I want it to do almost everything if I'm going to have this running all the time.
Roger, what did you go with for the title?
I went with the Samsung and Apple flagship face-off, changing flagship to smartphone.
Okay, from Raymond.
From Raymond.
Thank you, Raymond. Our top vote getter in the GDI title selection is from Batfink 2001. Press to digitation. Press to digitation. Press to digitation. Yeah. AI or a sloppy Joe from the Reverb mic. Tom's signature bad photo composition from Stealth Dave. Huge blue suede shoes from Howard Yermish. Alien versus Predator versus Human versus AI. I kind of like that one from Badfink. Tom gets excited for digits. AI or not AI? That is the question. Of course, we just go with Wordle.
I do like Wordle because it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah. Should we go with that?
I don't
Wordle?
Yeah, from Weird Ami.
Done.
All right. Thank you, Weird Ami. And that is going to do it for us. We are going to hand you over to Apple Vision Show shortly. So thanks, everybody. See ya tomorrow.